Hey there, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle three little words that can cause some major headaches in English: must, have to, and can. Now, they all seem to be about rules, right? But the way they work is totally different. And honestly, getting them right is like unlocking a new level in clear communication. So, let's get into it.
So, right off the bat, let me ask you this. Must you learn this stuff, or do you have to? By the end of this explainer, you're not only going to know the answer to that tricky little question, but you'll feel way more confident using these words. It really might seem like a tiny detail, but trust me, getting it right completely changes the meaning of what you're trying to say.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about obligation. Then we'll dive into the real key, the difference between inside and outside rules. After that, we'll look at what's allowed versus what's forbidden, and we'll wrap it all up with a super simple summary. Sound good? Let's go.
Okay, first up, the obligation question. This is all about what you're required to do, what's necessary, what's your duty. This, right here, is the natural habitat of our first two words, must and have to.
You know, both of these words are about things we need to do. They seem so similar. And yeah, sometimes you can swap them, but there's a really important difference between them. And getting that difference is what unlocks everything. It's where a lot of people get tangled up.
All right, so here is the absolute game changer. The big secret is figuring out where the rule is coming from. Is it coming from the outside world, like a law or a rule your boss made? Or is it an inside thing, a feeling, something that you think is really important? Let's just call it inside versus outside rules. This is the key.
Let's start with have to. You use this one for rules that come from the outside. Think of laws, company policies, or just situations you can't control. For instance, I have to wear a uniform at school. It's not my personal desire, right? It's the school's rule. The obligation is external. It's coming from outside of me.
And here's how it looks in a sentence. You'd say, she has to study. The exam forces her to. Or for a negative, we don't have to work. Now, pay attention to that one. Don't have to just means there's no rule, no obligation. And asking a question is simple. Do you have to leave? It's all pretty straightforward.
Now, on the other hand, we have must. If have to is for outside rules, must is all about what's going on inside. It comes from the speaker's own feelings. It's that strong personal sense that something is important, or when you're giving someone a very strong recommendation. Like if you think to yourself, I must remember to send that email. Nobody is forcing you. That feeling of urgency is coming from you. So when you use it, you might say, you must try this cake. That's me, telling you from my own feeling that it's amazing. Or an official rule can be given with must, like on a plane. All passengers must fasten their seatbelts. It's delivered with a sense of authority. But here's the tricky part, the negative, mustn't, which means something is forbidden. We're going to come right back to that.
So let's put it all on one screen. This is the heart of it. Have to is for outside forces, like a traffic law. Must is for inside forces, like feeling that you really need to call your mom. If you can just remember outside versus inside, you have basically cracked the code.
Okay, great. So we've nailed obligation. Now let's switch gears and talk about the flip side of the coin. How do we talk about what you're allowed to do and what's a big fat no? This is where can and those tricky negative forms come into play.
All right, this one is nice and easy. Can is all about permission. It's for saying something is okay or for asking if something's okay. When you ask, can I borrow your pen please? You're asking for permission. When a friend says, you can use my car, they're giving you permission. See? Simple.
And of course, the opposite is can't. It just means you are not allowed to do something. You can't take photos in the museum. It's forbidden. It's a clear rule. But this little word leads us directly to the single biggest point of confusion for pretty much everyone learning English.
Okay, lean in, because this is huge. Mustn't and don't have to look kind of similar, but they mean completely different things. Mustn't means something is forbidden. It means, do not do this, it is very important. Think, students mustn't cheat. But don't have to, that just means something isn't necessary. You have a choice, it's optional. You don't have to come to the party means it's your call. One is a strict rule, the other is total freedom. Getting this right is a massive step.
Okay, I know that was a lot. We've gone from outside rules to inside feelings, from permission to some really serious prohibitions. So let's take a breath and put everything we've learned into one simple, clear summary.
And here it is, your ultimate cheat sheet. This table lays it all out for you. We've got have to for external rules, must for those internal feelings, don't have to when there's no obligation, and the really important one, mustn't for when something is forbidden. And finally, the easy ones, can for permission and can't when you're not allowed. Seriously, feel free to pause right here. This table is your key takeaway.
I love this quote from Mark Twain because it's so true for what we're talking about. Think about it. The difference between telling someone you don't have to touch that and you mustn't touch that is absolutely enormous, right? One is just an optional suggestion. The other is a serious warning. These little words carry so much weight.
Okay, so before we go, it's your turn. A quick final quiz. Complete this sentence. You blank forget your passport when you travel abroad. Is it can't or mustn't? Think about it. It's a very strong rule, an urgent warning you're giving yourself or someone else. So the answer is you mustn't forget it. I really hope this explainer helps you get a handle on these rules with way more confidence. Thanks for joining me.